things that you see there is what? The first two potholes. You want to avoid the estate taxes, and you want to avoid paying capital gains tax. I remember one day I was sitting right in this church, and I heard one of the elders, who's no longer here with us, and I heard him saying to someone else, I wasn't eavesdropping, I was just passing, and I heard him saying that he was going to sell his house. And I knew that he owned a house in this neighborhood. I knew he was going to sell that house for a good sum, you know? And my mind said to me, I wonder if he understands how much tax he's going to owe. And then the Spirit told me, well, it was Sabbath. So I called him on the phone and I said, Elder, I wasn't eavesdropping, but I heard you said you're going to sell your house. He said, yes, I am. It was already in contract and everything. So I talked to him, I met with him and his wife. Get to find out, the person spent about, say, I'm making up the number here because I don't remember all of it, but it was about $200,000 for the house. Sold a house in this neighborhood for $1.4 million. So you understand what just happened. You paid $200,000 for something, you sold it for $1.2 million. So you just made how much? Close to $1 million. By the time he was done figuring out his figures, he owed $614,000 in capital gains tax. He could not believe it, right? So we had to I did it for him at 1031 exchange and help him to avoid, he did not pay a cent in taxes. But a lot of people don't know that. So the education of what we are talking about is extremely, extremely important. When you have a plan in place, you can help avoid having to pay all those capital gains tax and the estate taxes. So if you have an estate, you have a trust, things like that, you can be taxed anywhere between 10 to 37%. The lowest tax bracket is 10%, and the highest is 37%. Imagine if you had to pay at the highest tax level. So you're thinking you're going to have something in your hand, but it doesn't work out that way. So that's why you want to have a plan in place. It also talks about avoiding probate. What does that mean? Avoiding probate. Nobody? Okay, well, next week the attorney is going to be here, and I'm sure you're going to learn some things about that. But that's just to avoid having to go to court. So part of estate planning is to make sure you have a will. Okay? Because when you have a will, right, the will goes through court, which is what we call probate. You may not be here, but your executor or your executrix of your estate may have to spend a lot of your estate money into paying attorneys and court fees. So this is the reason why we're going to talk a little bit about this today. People do a trust to avoid probate, to avoid going to court. So we're going to talk about wills and trusts as well if we have the time.